I'm biased, but I think that I have the best job on the face of this earth, that I get to work with young adults and cast vision for them to share the gospel with the whole world, but also set a framework for them to be lifelong followers of Jesus. You know, this theme, and as we think about our camp that's going on over during the Vision Workshop, we have 58 campers this year. It's the largest that we've ever had, and it's a good problem to have. And it just excites me to think what the future holds for this generation that is beginning to walk in with these flags. What does it mean to be ashamed? Shame is when you put a standard on something and it doesn't measure up. Some of you may be upset with this example, but the example is, I may put a standard on the Dallas Cowboys to make it past the second round of the playoffs. If the Cowboys don't make it past the second round of the playoffs, then they don't measure up to the standard I put on them, and therefore I'm ashamed. Paul says that he is not ashamed of the gospel because it is the power of God for the salvation of everyone who believes. So what is the standard Paul puts on the gospel? That it is the power of God for the salvation of everyone who believes. Is the gospel the power of God for the salvation of everyone who believes? If we say yes, then we cannot be ashamed because the gospel meets the standard that we put on it. To be the power of God for the salvation of everyone who believes. Therefore, we cannot be ashamed of the gospel. So what about some of the answers we get when we ask, what is it that makes you ashamed of the gospel? We hear things like, I'm afraid I'll be rejected. I feel I don't know enough. I don't want to come across as judgmental. People will think I'm a hypocrite because they remember my former way of life. You see, they are giving answers to the wrong question. The question they are answering is, why don't you share the gospel? Their answers have nothing to do with the gospel and everything to do with themselves. They feel ashamed because they don't measure up to the standard they put on themselves, not the standard they put on the gospel. The gospel does what it says it will do. It will be the power of God for the salvation of everyone who believes. The reality is that it's not the gospel that isn't capable, but the person. So what if there was a place where young adults could go and be equipped to share the gospel? What if there was a place where young adults could be trained to gain confidence to share without fear of rejection? What if there was a place young adults could learn how to share in a way that motivates people instead of turning them off? What if there was a place that helped young adults be so confident in their present standing with Christ that they didn't let their acts of their past hold them back? What if there was a place young adults could go that would set them up to be lifelong followers of Jesus? It amazes me how great movements of God begin. They begin with a step of faith. It was no different when AIM began. Many may think that some smart person here at Sunset had this great plan to begin this program, thought it through, and made it a reality. The truth is that in 1973, 16 young adults who were unashamed of the gospel had a great passion to take the gospel to Ireland. They had the desire, the drive, and the passion, and they sought out those who could help prepare them for this task. AIM wasn't born out of the great ideas of an institute president or dean or teacher. It was born out of the hearts of 16 young people who wanted to take the gospel into all the world. Their steps of faith, others have followed. I doubt those 16 young adults who took that step of faith in 1973 realized that 44 years later, over 1,400 young people would have followed suit and taken the gospel into 47 nations and 107 mission points. Look at these flags before you. They represent those nations. But more than looking at the flags, look at those holding the flags. These young adults are unashamed of the gospel. They are young adults with big faith. They are our campers in this year's Camp Adventure who are contemplating taking the gospel into the whole world. We chose these young adults to carry these flags this year to cast a vision for the future. Let me tell you what these young adults do not need to hear. They do not need to hear that there are other things they can be doing. They do not need to hear that they should play it safe. They do not need to be talked out of it so that they can go to college. They need to be commended and praised and applauded for following the lead of God and for being obedient to the Lord's commission. Most who go through AIM do not continue into full-time ministry after they graduate. In fact, about 80% continue on to college and careers, and about 20% continue on into full-time ministry. I'm not worried about the 80% choosing college and careers after they graduate instead of full-time ministry, because I know that they will be taking Jesus into the workplace. I think about AIM graduates who I know, and alongside many preachers and missionaries, there are speech pathologists, CEOs and CFOs, computer programmers and coders, pharmacists, editors of publications, flight attendants, movie producers, real estate agents, those are my favorite, restaurant entrepreneurs. You don't know, my wife's a real estate agent. Restaurant entrepreneurs, photographers, soldiers, nurses, teachers, college professors, police officers, business managers, and the list goes on. No matter what path they choose, the experience these young adults have in AIM prepares them to be lifelong followers of Jesus and to be on mission with him no matter where they go or what they do. When AIM students come into the program, we aren't just investing in what they're going to do in the 2 years they're in the program. We are investing in what they will be doing for the kingdom and in the kingdom 5, 10, 15, and 44 years from now, unless Jesus hopefully returns before then. I'm so proud of these young adults because what they are doing in faith. I'm so proud of our present AIM students. AIM students, will you please stand where you are? This year's class is from 17 states, Northern Ireland, Mexico, and South Africa. They are presently in their mission term and will be aiming to preach the gospel in Coleraine, Northern Ireland, Cochabamba, Bolivia, Mexico City, Mexico, Miami, Florida, Santa Rosa de Copan, Honduras, and Wasilla, Alaska. We'll go ahead and do it again. Will you please join me in applauding these young adults? These young adults are amazing examples to us. I want to close with the words of Nat Cooper, the first director of AIM. He said these words in 1976 here when the first AIM team was returning from Ireland. I wish to God in the Church of Jesus Christ that we had the same kind of vision to look at the nations and to see the need of the nations, but not only that, to realize that God has placed within our hands young lives who have the capabilities and who have the willingness, and with direction and with training and with guidance, they're able to go into all the world. Probably in the days to come, this is what these nations will say to us. Thank you for sending your sons and daughters with the gospel. Brethren, let's see the potential that God has put in our young people.
For those who look at the news and all those things and worry about the future, we just saw a reason to be very grateful. I'm not going to be afraid of a future where those young people are carrying our flags all over the world. We are especially grateful. AIM is going through a transition. Chris Smith is transitioning on, and Corey, who spoke to us, is transitioning into leadership. We have been well led, and we certainly will be well led. And our AIM staff is awesome. Pat Schaefer, all of them, awesome. And you can trust your children in their hands. And we hope to see them sometime here.